favorite thing, the clips. Let's watch it.
Yes, let's watch.
It's hard to be accountable for things that you're everything else.
Honestly, Janelle, I wonder, because some of the things that he's saying.
No, I know.
He never loved us, and he never.
For years, we watched Christine Brown smile through pain. We saw her play the loyal wife, the doting mother, the obedient believer in a system that was slowly crushing her spirit. But now she's speaking up. And what she's finally revealing is more disturbing than anyone expected. In leaked excerpts from her upcoming book, Christine isn't just sharing her story, she's exposing the truth. The real story behind the cameras, behind the marriage, and behind the carefully crafted image of Robyn as the faithful, innocent wife. She's lifting the curtain on a web of manipulation, gaslighting, spiritual control, and emotional cruelty that ran far deeper than what TLC ever allowed us to see. And it's not just Kody who's being exposed. Robyn's quiet power, her influence over the family's beliefs, her rewriting of the rules the rest of them were forced to follow. Christine saw it all. She lived it. And for the first time, she's putting it into words that the rest of the world can't ignore. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome back to TLC Sister Wives Recap. If you're just as shocked by this new chapter in Christine's life as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. I want to hear what you think about these new revelations. Do you believe Christine was silenced for years? Was Robyn really the one pulling strings behind the scenes? Let's talk about it in the comments. Christine's voice, so quiet for so long, is now loud, clear, and deeply personal. This is no longer about a reality show. This is about a woman who was emotionally abandoned, spiritually broken, and pushed aside while others played the victims. And now, she's reclaiming her story, and it starts with everything the cameras didn't show. What she endured, what her children were exposed to, and the moment she finally saw through it all. We're about to go there. And trust me, once you hear what Christine says in her own words, you'll never look at Sister Wives the same way again. Christine Brown became a familiar face to millions. A woman in a flowing skirt, warm smile, and soft voice, always trying to keep the peace in a complicated family. But what we didn't see behind those carefully edited scenes was a woman slowly fading into the background. Not just in her marriage, but in her own life. For years, Christine played her role in Kody's world. She did what was expected, what she was taught was righteous. On screen, she seemed spirited, even lighthearted at times. But off camera, she was drowning. In her leaked book excerpts, Christine opens up about what was really happening during those long years in the Brown household. And it's not the story we were told. The truth? She felt invisible. Not just in the marriage, but in the family structure itself. Polygamy wasn't empowering. It wasn't a celebration of love or sisterhood. For Christine, it was a daily reminder that she was never enough. Kody's attention drifted. His affection disappeared. And what was left was a woman quietly breaking under the weight of being unwanted. She admits that early on, even before Robyn entered the picture, she struggled with the idea of sharing a husband. It never felt natural. It never felt right. But in her world, questioning polygamy was like questioning God, and that kind of doubt was swallowed in silence. She kept smiling, she kept serving, because that's what a good wife did. But every ignored conversation, every cold glance, every moment Kody chose someone else over her, it chipped away at something inside. And the cameras didn't show that. They didn't show the nights she cried alone, or the moments she tried to reach out and was met with indifference. They didn't show how much she longed for connection, not just as a wife, but as a woman. Christine describes feeling small, like her opinions didn't matter, like her voice wasn't welcome unless it supported someone else's narrative. And when Robyn came along, that silence only deepened. Christine didn't just feel like a lower priority, she felt like a burden. But despite the pain, she stayed. For her kids, for her faith, for a hope that maybe things would get better. But deep down, the cracks were already forming. And the Christine we thought we knew was just the surface of a woman who had been quietly hurting for far too long. Christine didn't just marry into polygamy, she was born into it. From the moment she was old enough to understand the world around her, the message was clear. Obedience wasn't just expected, it was salvation. And choice? That wasn't really part of the equation. In the leaked pages of her book, Christine reveals that her family roots ran deep in the fundamentalist church. Leaders in her community were revered as prophets, men who were supposedly chosen by God to guide families through the gates of heaven, so long as those families followed every word they spoke. That included living the principle, multiple wives, dozens of children, and complete devotion to the men at the center of it all. Christine was told early on that being sealed for time and all eternity was the ultimate blessing. Her marriage wasn't just about love, it was about spiritual duty. Eternal salvation for herself and her children depended on it. That's what she believed. That's what they taught her. And that's what made it nearly impossible to question what was happening, even when everything inside her was screaming that it wasn't right. She grew up hearing names like Owen Allred and Rulon Allred, men tied to her bloodline, to her belief system, to everything she'd ever been taught about faith and family. But when Christine refers to one as her grandfather and the other as her step-grandfather, what she's really revealing is the tangled web of loyalty and confusion that came with it. It wasn't just about religion, it was about legacy, reputation, and control. The lines between right and wrong were blurred by fear. Fear of disappointing her family, fear of spiritual failure, fear that if she didn't comply, if she didn't submit, she'd lose everything. So she stopped asking questions. She stayed quiet, and she followed the path laid out for her, believing it was the only one she'd ever have. But the most heartbreaking part is this. Christine thought she was doing the right thing. Even as she felt unseen, unheard, and unwanted, she believed staying silent was noble. She thought suffering in silence meant she was strong. That being a good wife, a good mother, a good believer, meant sacrificing her own identity. And that's how the control worked. Not with chains or threats, but with generations of conditioning, guilt, and blind faith. Christine didn't choose this life. This life was chosen for her. And for years, she believed that was enough. Christine once believed that being the third wife came with a quiet strength. She had already weathered years of emotional neglect, but at least she understood the rules of the family. She knew how to navigate the fragile balance between the other wives, and she knew what was expected. But everything began to change the moment Robyn entered the picture. Not loudly, not aggressively, just quietly, slowly, subtly. At first, Christine tried to welcome her. She did what was expected. She smiled. She offered support. But it didn't take long before she noticed things shifting, not just in Kody's attention, but in the tone of the whole family. Rules that had once mattered were now up for negotiation. Long-held beliefs, especially about their faith and how they practiced it, began to bend. And Robyn always seemed to be at the center of those changes. In one excerpt from Christine's book, she recalls a moment when Robyn brought up a private topic during a family trip: garments. Sacred clothing meant to symbolize spiritual commitment. Christine had worn hers faithfully for years, even when it was uncomfortable or inconvenient. It was one of the few pieces of her belief system she still held onto. But here was Robyn, questioning it, suggesting that maybe they didn't need to wear them all the time. It caught Christine off guard, especially because Robyn had always positioned herself as the devout one, the righteous one, the one who clung to tradition. But that moment told Christine something different, that maybe Robyn's faith wasn't about devotion. Maybe it was about control, about reshaping the family in a way that suited her, and only her, and Kody. He didn't challenge it, he supported it. He followed Robyn's lead more than he ever had with any of the other wives. Christine watched as her own voice, and Mary's and Janelle's, were pushed further to the side. Suddenly, Robyn's opinions weren't just heard, they were treated as gospel. Christine started to realize that Robyn's influence wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. She was rewriting the rules under the guise of loyalty while painting herself as the innocent outsider just trying to fit in. But Christine saw the truth. Robyn's image of purity was just that, an image. And behind it was a woman who knew exactly how to win Kody's loyalty. shift the family dynamics, and quietly take power in a system that was already rigged to benefit the one closest to the man at the center. Christine always said her kids were her world. And through all the chaos of her marriage, through the tears and the silence and the rejection, they were the one thing that kept her grounded. But even that came with its own heartbreak. Because as she opens up in her book, being a mother in that family meant protecting her children with no real power to shield them. And when the cameras showed up, the damage became impossible to ignore. Her children didn't grow up like other kids. They weren't just dealing with the everyday confusion of growing up in a plural family, they were placed under a spotlight they never asked for. Christine recalls how it started off fun, being recognized in public, hearing people say they loved the show. But that feeling didn't. Then came the isolation. Not just physical, but spiritual. The beliefs she'd carried since childhood, the rituals, the garments, the promises of eternal marriage, suddenly felt hollow. When Robyn began challenging the rules Christine had followed her whole life, and Kody embraced those changes without question, something inside her broke loose. For so long, she had feared the consequences of questioning her faith. But now, silence felt more dangerous than speaking up. She started reflecting on her past with new eyes. The arranged-like marriage, the teachings that told her obedience was love, the constant sacrifice with little to no return. And it hit her. This wasn't divine. It wasn't sacred. It was a pattern of control dressed up as devotion. Christine didn't leave in a rage. She didn't explode. She made a choice. For the first time in decades, she chose herself. She chose her kids. She chose peace over performance. And in doing so, she reclaimed a voice that had been quieted by years of fear, guilt, and manipulation. In her book, there's a subtle power in the way she writes about this shift. It's not just about Kody anymore. It's not just about Robyn or garments or fame. It's about a woman finally standing on her own, not just surviving, but healing. Christine didn't walk away bitter. She walked away free. And now, when she speaks, there's strength in her voice, there's clarity, there's peace. She no longer needs permission to feel, to question, or to speak. That is the woman we see today. Not just a former sister wife, not just a mother, but a woman who found herself again after being lost in a system that was never built to let her thrive. Christine's story isn't just about leaving a marriage, it's about finding the strength to leave a system that told her she wasn't enough, unless she was silent, submissive, and small. Her journey is a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is stop pretending she's okay and start living her truth, no matter how long it takes to get there. Through her words, Christine is giving permission to herself, to her daughters, and to every person watching from the sidelines that it's never too late to reclaim your voice, to rewrite your story, to say no more and mean it. And if you're someone who feels trapped right now, in a relationship, a belief system, or a role you never chose, you are not alone. You are not weak for wanting more. You are not selfish for needing peace. Christine's voice broke through decades of silence, and in doing so, she lit a path for others to follow. Thank you so much for being here today, for listening, for feeling, for supporting stories that matter. My name is Sarah, and this is TLC Sister Wives Recap. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a story that brings the truth to light. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What part of Christine's story moved you the most? In the end, this isn't just about one woman walking away. It's about a quiet revolution of courage. One choice, one voice, one step at a time. Until next time, take care of your heart and never forget, you deserve to be seen, you deserve to be heard, and you deserve to be free.